This land, it's a monument to mortal resilience. They built new lives upon the very thing that sought to end theirs.
Portals are little flames, brilliant, hot, then gone. Those who face eternity easily forget what a lifetime means, what an ending means.
You know it doesn't have to be this way.
No, Kunavang, it does. They need me.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Morali, and today I want to talk to you guys about a theory that I have about the deep sea dragon and the origins of Cantha, I would say. So let's get right into it. I want to start out by talking about the deep sea dragon itself. I think that in the trailer, Kunavang is talking to the deep sea dragon. I think that's the little teaser that we got is a conversation between the two of them. I don't think, some people have theorized that maybe it's Mother, but I don't think that they would tease us with that. Not sure about it. Maybe the deep sea dragon is Mother, as in like she is the ultimate elder dragon and they're all her children, all the other elder dragons. I'm not sure. I mean, that's one other theory. You could go a whole nother way with that, but not sure exactly. I don't think that I want to make any assumptions on who Mother is. I mean, I did talk about Mother in my other video where I talked about the Celestials and stuff, but there's just not enough information that we have about Mother, so I'm just gonna say the deep sea dragon, not knowing whether that's Mother or not. But I believe she is the person or the dragon that Kunavang is talking to, and there's a couple reasons why I think that we'll get to a little bit later. But I think I want to just talk about the deep sea dragon in general. Every elder dragon has two domains, and I think it is maybe in a way safe to assume that the deep sea dragon is not necessarily super hostile. We haven't seen any minions, there hasn't been like crazy destruction. You know, we're cut off from Cantha and stuff, but we were cut off. The lore reason was because of Zaitan, not because of anything in the deep ocean. We did have the Karka attack, and did that have anything to do with the deep sea dragon? We're not sure, but overall we have the Largos and the Quaggan and the Kraid, and none of them really talk about there being dragons under the water, and I think there's a couple reasons why that is. And yeah, so I think that it's more of a passive dragon, and I think the domains here would be water and harmony. And harmony sounds, immediately I think people will think of something good, but I don't think harmony in itself as a concept means necessarily good. If the elder dragon wants harmony, then she might use force to get this harmony. So, and I will get further into that too down the line, but I think my theory is that the domain here is water and harmony, and I think that the deep sea dragon, she wants to be left alone. She wants to just stay in the water, in the ocean, in the sea, and not be bothered. She just wants to be, she knows that harmony can't be achieved, but she can kind of have personal harmony by just being alone and being away from the conflict that is us fighting the dragons, or even just people fighting each other, you know, the races fighting each other and stuff, which has happened for a long time. So I think she settled in the Jade Sea. She is the deep sea dragon. There's a difference between sea and ocean, really, but I don't know if there's too much being read into it. But I think she is in the Jade Sea, and when the Canthans settled there, they were all along the coast of the actual ocean and stuff. But I think what happened is they found out that there is dragons in the Jade Sea, and I think the salt spray dragons are probably the offsprings of the deep sea dragon. So they attacked the salt spray dragons, or the salt spray dragons might have just defended their territory in the name of the deep sea dragon. So they started fighting. The early Canthons and the deep sea dragons and the forces kind of clashed, and they were fighting each other. Now, in the trailer that we got in the teaser trailer for End of Dragons, the mysterious voice or Kunavang, one of the two, I'm not sure, but the line is, "They build new lives upon the very thing that sought to destroy them." So the line is set because the deep sea dragon wanted to destroy the humans because they settled around there and they were attacking. And at this point, I think my theory goes a little bit crazy. I'm not sure, but they were looking to do a truce in a way. Maybe Kunavang was the mediator or something. Maybe she's like the lieutenant of the deep sea dragon or whatever. And there was supposed to be a truce because the deep sea dragon just wants harmony, right? So there was some kind of agreement made with the first emperor, the guy that brought all these tribes together. And the first emperor's name was Kaineng Ta. And he entered this truce because there is in lore some information that says that he was contacted by the gods of Tyria. And I think that based on what Cormier said to us, that maybe the message from the gods was that they asked him to stop fighting the dragon because they knew that if the dragon died, there would be an imbalance, and it would set the world down into events that might destroy the whole world. So they asked him to stop attacking the dragon, and so somehow there was a truce made. Now, in this truce, it was the deep sea dragon would leave them alone, but the deep sea dragon, she feeds on magic. So the agreement was that they would have to sacrifice magic to her every year, which created the Harvest Festival. Now, what we know of the Harvest Festival is that supposedly it's a festival for the emperor to ask for blessing from Dwayna. Now, I think that that's just a ruse, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later too, but I think that the reason why the emperor was chosen is because maybe Kaineng Ta had some kind of power that could hurt or harm the elder dragons in some way, and maybe the gods of Tyria knew about this power, and that's why they sent the message to him in the first place, because they realized that maybe he had the power to hurt or even kill an elder dragon, and they knew that, again, that would set the world into this imbalance in magic and stuff like that. So all of that happened, and it created this kind of secret that Kaineng Ta knew about this elder dragon, and maybe not a lot of people knew about it, but he told the people that they needed to have this festival every year, and that they needed to worship Dwayna, and they needed to ask for the blessing. You know, the emperor had to ask for the blessing. So when Kaineng Ta created the empire, he told everyone that dragons were sacred beings and they should be worshipped, maybe in a way. So he named the empire after the dragon. You know, he named it the Empire of the Dragon. And they erected like statues of the dragons and stuff like that. And maybe not a lot of people knew about this. Maybe they just took the inspiration from seeing salt spray dragons. I mean, those aren't like hidden or anything, so people can just see them regularly. So the dragon statues that we do see, maybe they were based off of seeing those salt spray dragons, but they might have been inspired because the emperor called it the Empire of the Dragon. So over time, Kaineng Ta, he's the first emperor, and just like in any empire, they try to keep the emperor line as pure as possible. The dormant powers, these powers that Kaineng Ta had to maybe destroy the dragons, was passed down through all the other emperors. And over time, you know, it was a long time, the people kind of forgot. The few people that knew about the dragons, they didn't maybe pass it down. The only people that maybe knew were the emperors. The emperors knew that there was an elder dragon in the Jade Sea, and they knew that they couldn't tell anyone because if they did, that would create panic and maybe conflict. The first emperor got the people from fighting the dragons because of this truce, but they didn't want to create this whole dilemma, so the other emperors kept it a secret. And then we kind of fast forward to the day that the Emperor was killed by Shiro. Now, when Shiro did that, the dormant powers of the Emperor were transferred into Shiro, and Shiro gets killed shortly after, and he releases this power. He creates the Jade Wind. Now, the deep sea dragon at this point is trapped underneath the jade, but the deep sea dragon also absorbs this power. You know, we've seen that before. We've seen before how Kralkatorrik absorbed the power of Balthazar and was now able to traverse the mist. So maybe the deep sea dragon did the exact same thing and absorbed the power and now has this power of the Emperor, which this power created the Jade Sea and also corrupted the salt spray dragons. Not all of them, but most of them. So then we forward all the way up until the point where in factions we fight Shiro because he has returned and we defeat him. Now, after the defeat of Shiro, there's rumors, which yes, they're unsubstantiated, mind you, but there's rumors of the Jade Sea transforming back into water, and the same happening in the Akavald Forest. Now, around that time, the Ministry of Purity kind of rises in power, and there's this whole dilemma of them trying to get rid of the afflicted, and it gets to the point where they start becoming very xenophobic, and they start killing anyone that's not human and stuff like that. So the Deep Sea Dragon finds this out, of course, because they, through Kunavang or whatever other means, they find out about this, and they realize that maybe having the Jade Sea turn back to water might not be a good idea, because that could create a problem for the Deep Sea Dragon, for her, because she's looking to be in harmony. She sees the aggression that the Ministry of Purity, killing all these other people, all these other races and stuff. So she decides to use the power she has and keep the Jade Sea as Jade. So that's why we haven't seen it get transformed back, because the Deep Sea Dragon now has this power and she chooses to use it in order to keep pretty much being isolated, being away from the humans and from the other races, and to keep her little harmony that she has. Now forward another 250 years and you get to our current timeline. Now in the current timeline, everything is pretty much in chaos, and we're trying to figure everything out, and we're trying to get to the point where we can get the world back in balance. What if the Deep Sea Dragon sees the opportunity for harmony between the dragons and the humans? And that's why in the trailer she says to Kunavang, they need me, because she understands what we're trying to do. She sees what the commander does, and she sees that with Oreen at our side, we're really just trying to create peace. And maybe she realizes this and she says, now is my time to act. Like, I can't hold back anymore. Because Kunavang says it doesn't have to be this way, because she probably fears that the Deep Sea Dragon, by revealing herself, might actually get killed or harmed in some way or something. And Kunavang maybe thinks that it would still be smart to keep hiding because it's worked for a long time. But I think that the Deep Sea Dragon, being an elder dragon, realizes, she thinks, now's the time to really look into making a peaceful world. And maybe she realizes that it is the time for the end of the dragons, and that maybe it's time for her to act so that we can have a peaceful world and that she can create harmony in that way. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the whole premise of my theory. It's just one long theory. There's also the thing that I kind of forgot to mention, but it was when the Canthons settled, they were using magic before the gods of Tyria arrived. So I think that's also proof that maybe they have utilized the dragon's power. When they go to sleep, they kind of release that magic into the world, and maybe that's what the Canthons, the early ritualists, used without realizing that they were tapping into dragon magic like that. So, but then the other point that I wanted to make is that the reason why we haven't seen minions of the Deep Sea Dragon is because they're in the Jade Sea. Maybe because all the dragon minions are trapped in the Jade Sea, because that is where the dragon was. It's an inland sea pretty much, but that's maybe why we haven't really seen the Deep Sea Dragon. In lore, it is suggested that the Kraid have been pretty much misplaced because of these deep sea horrors and things like that, but do we really know that that's dragon minions? We don't know, and maybe there is some kind of connection between the Jade Sea and the unending ocean in a way that, like, it's underneath the land, maybe. So there is maybe a connection where the deep sea dragon has a connection to the unending ocean, but just never chooses to use it because they have their own cozy little Jade Sea that they're living in that's not solid. And that's why we haven't seen any of the minions, and we haven't seen a lot of activity. That would explain a lot of different things as to why we don't really know what's going on with the dragon. But yeah, that's pretty much my theory, and if you guys have any suggestions, I know a lot of stuff is far-fetched, and I had this kind of theory in my head, and I wanted to go and create the story maybe that could be told for End of Dragons, and maybe really solidify the last dragon to not be another copy of Zaitan and Mordramoth and Primordus that's just looking to destroy the world. This would be a nice twist on having this dragon, and yeah, I think that that's maybe a different take on what people would expect from the deep sea dragon. But if you guys have any other ideas or suggestions, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.